The Colosseum is an elliptical amphitheater in the center of the city of Rome, Italy, just east of the Roman Forum. It is the largest ancient amphitheater ever built, and is still the largest standing amphitheater in the world, despite its age. Some interesting facts about the Colosseum. Each year, 6 million tourists visit the Colosseum. If you plan to visit it, make sure to buy tickets online beforehand. It is believed that the Emperor Titus inaugurated the Colosseum with 100 days of games, which took the lives of more than 2,000 gladiators and more than 9,000 wild animals. The Colosseum remained active for over 500 years. The last recorded games in history were celebrated in the 6th century. The exterior of the Vancouver Public Library in British Columbia resembles the current state of the Colosseum, designed by Moshe Safdie. Construction began under the Emperor Vespasian, 69-79 AD, in 72 AD, and was completed in 80 AD under his successor and heir, Titus, 79-81 AD. Further modifications were made during the reign of Domitian, 81-96 AD. The three emperors who were patrons of the work are known as the Flavian dynasty, and originally the amphitheater was named the Flavian Amphitheater by later classicists and archaeologists for its association with their family name, Flavius. The height of the Colosseum is 157 feet, or 48 meters, and the base area is 6 acres, or 24,000 square meters. This means that it is taller than a 16-story building, and it has enough room for more than 3 football fields. The Colosseum is built of travertine limestone, tough volcanic rock, and brick-faced concrete. It could hold an estimated 50,000 to 80,000 spectators at various points in its history, having an average audience of some 65,000. It was used for gladiatorial contests and public spectacles, including animal hunts, executions, reenactments of famous battles, dramas based on Roman mythology, and briefly mock sea battles. The building ceased to be used for entertainment in the early medieval era. It was later reused for such purposes as housing, workshops, quarters for a religious order, a fortress, a quarry, and a Christian temple. Although substantially ruined by earthquakes and stone robbers taking spolia, the Colosseum is still a renowned symbol of imperial Rome and was listed as one of the new 7 wonders of the world. It is one of Rome's most popular tourist attractions and also has links to the Roman Catholic Church, as each Good Friday the Pope leads a torchlit Way of the Cross procession that starts in the area around the Colosseum. The Colosseum is depicted on the Italian version of the 5-cent euro coin. Originally, the building's Latin name was simply Amphitheatrum. Though the modern name Flavian Amphitheater is often used, there is no evidence it was used in classical antiquity. The name Colosseum is believed to be derived from a colossal statue of Nero on the model of the Colossus of Rhodes. The giant bronze sculpture of Nero as a solar deity was moved to its position beside the amphitheater by the Emperor Hadrian, 117-138 AD. The word Colosseum is a neuter Latin noun formed from the adjective Colossius, meaning gigantic or Colossian. After Nero's suicide and the civil wars of the Year of the Four Emperors, the Colossus of Nero statue was remodeled by the condemned emperor's successors into the likeness of Helios or Apollo, the sun god, by adding the appropriate solar crown. It was then commonly referred to as the Colossus Solis. Nero's head was also replaced several times with the heads of succeeding emperors, but eventually the Colossus fell, possibly being pulled down to reuse its bronze. The statue itself was largely forgotten, and only its base survives, between the Colosseum and the nearby Temple of Venus and Roma. The history of the Colosseum starts when the Emperor Nero built the grandiose Golden House on the site in 64 AD, in front of which he created an artificial lake surrounded by pavilions, gardens, and porticos. The existing Aqua Claudia aqueduct was extended to supply water to the area, and the gigantic previously mentioned bronze Colossus of Nero was set up nearby at the entrance to this area. Although the Colossus was preserved, much of the Golden House was torn down. The lake was filled in, and the land was reused as the location for the new Flavian amphitheater. Gladiatorial schools and other support buildings were constructed nearby within the former grounds of the Golden House. The decision of Emperor Vespasian to build the Colosseum on the site of Nero's lake can be seen as a populist gesture of returning to the people an area of the city which Nero had appropriated for his own use. In contrast to many other amphitheaters, which were on the outskirts of a city, the Colosseum was constructed in the city center, in effect, placing it both symbolically and precisely at the heart of Rome. According to a reconstructed inscription found on the site, the Emperor Vespasian ordered this new amphitheater to be erected from his general's share of the booty after the First Jewish-Roman War in 70 AD and Siege of Jerusalem. Along with a free source of unskilled labor, mostly slaves, teams of professional Roman builders, engineers, artists, painters, and decorators undertook the more specialized tasks necessary for building the Colosseum. The Colosseum was constructed with several different materials: wood, limestone, tuff, tiles, cement, and mortar. Construction of the Colosseum began under the rule of Vespasian in around 70 AD and had been completed up to the third story by the time of Vespasian's death in 79 AD. The top level was finished by his son Titus in 80 AD. During the inaugural games, held in 80 AD, Dio Cassius recounts that over 9,000 wild animals were killed in the amphitheater. The building was remodeled further under Vespasian's younger son, the newly designated Emperor Domitian, who constructed the Hypogeum, a series of tunnels used to house animals and slaves. He also added a gallery to the top of the Colosseum to increase its seating capacity. In 217, the Colosseum was badly damaged by a major fire, which destroyed the wooden upper levels of the amphitheater's interior. It was not fully repaired until about 240 and underwent further repairs in 252 and again in 320. The Emperor Honorius banned the practice of gladiator fights in 399 and again in 404. Gladiatorial fights are last mentioned around 435. An inscription records the restoration of various parts of the Colosseum under Theodosius II and Valentinian III, reigned 425-455, possibly to repair damage caused by a major earthquake in 443. More work followed in 484 and 508. The arena continued to be used for contests well into the 6th century. Animal hunts continued until at least 523, when Anicius Maximus celebrated his consulship with some animal hunting fests, criticized by King Theodoric the Great for their high cost. During the medieval ages, the Colosseum underwent several radical changes of use. By the late 6th century, a small chapel had been built into the structure of the amphitheater, though this apparently did not confer any particular religious significance on the building as a whole. The arena was converted into a cemetery. The numerous vaulted spaces in the arcades under the seating were converted into housing and workshops, and are recorded as still being rented out as late as the 12th century. At the beginning of the 13th century, the Frangipani family took over the Colosseum and fortified it, apparently using it as a castle. In the early to mid-14th century, the Pope's relocation to Avignon caused a population decline in Rome that left the region insecure. The Colosseum was largely abandoned by the public and became a popular den for bandits. Severe damage was inflicted on the Colosseum by the Great Earthquake in the 14th century, causing the outer south side, lying on a less stable alluvial terrain, to collapse. Much of the tumbled stone was reused to build palaces, churches, hospitals, and other buildings elsewhere in Rome. In the second part of the 14th century, after the Pope's return to Rome, the Colosseum was restored by a religious order, who then inhabited a northern portion of it until as late as the early 19th century. The interior of the amphitheater was extensively stripped of stone, which was reused elsewhere, or, in the case of the marble facade, burned to make quicklime. The iron clamps which held the stonework together were pried or hacked out of the walls, leaving numerous pockmarks which still scar the building today. During the 16th and 17th centuries, church officials sought a productive role for the Colosseum. Pope Sixtus V planned to turn the building into a wool factory to provide employment for Rome's prostitutes, though this proposal fell through with his premature death. At the end of the 17th century, Cardinal Altieri authorized its use for bullfights. A public outcry caused the idea to be hastily abandoned. In the middle of the 18th century, Pope Benedict XIV endorsed the view that the Colosseum was a sacred site where early Christians had been martyred. He forbade the use of the Colosseum as a quarry and consecrated the building to the Passion of Christ and installed stations of the cross, declaring it sanctified by the blood of the Christian martyrs who perished there. Later, popes initiated various stabilization and restoration projects, removing the extensive vegetation which had overgrown the structure and threatened to damage it further. The facade was reinforced with triangular brick wedges in 1807 and 1827, and the interior was repaired in 1831 and in the 1930s. The Colosseum is today one of Rome's most popular tourist attractions, receiving millions of visitors annually. In recent years, the Colosseum has become a symbol of the international campaign against capital punishment, which was abolished in Italy in 1948. Several anti-death penalty demonstrations took place in front of the Colosseum in 2000. Since that time, as a gesture against the death penalty, the local authorities of Rome changed the color of the Colosseum's nighttime illumination from white to gold whenever a person condemned to the death penalty anywhere in the world gets their sentence commuted or is released, or if a jurisdiction abolishes the death penalty. Most recently, the Colosseum was illuminated in gold in November 2012, following the abolishment of capital punishment in the American state of Connecticut in April 2012. Because of the ruined state of the interior, it is impractical to use the Colosseum to host large events. Only a few hundred spectators can be accommodated in temporary seating. However, much larger concerts have been held just outside, using the Colosseum as a backdrop. Performers who have played at the Colosseum in recent years have included Ray Charles, May 2002, Paul McCartney, May 2003, Elton John, September 2005, and Billy Joel, July 2006. The Colosseum today is a major tourist attraction in Rome, with thousands of tourists each year entering to view the interior arena. There is now a museum dedicated to Eros on the upper floor of the outer wall of the building. Part of the arena floor has been reinstated. Beneath the Colosseum, a network of subterranean passageways once used to transport wild animals and gladiators to the arena opened to the public in the summer of 2010. The Colosseum is also the site of Roman Catholic ceremonies in the 20th and 21st centuries. For instance, Pope Benedict XVI led the Stations of the Cross, called the Scriptural Way of the Cross, which calls for more meditation, at the Colosseum on Good Fridays.